Well, hi everyone. I'm John Ritlin with a review of two Shudder originals that I just watched, Host and Confessional. Both of these are basically found footage films with the camera about 2,000% too close to some of the actors' faces during a few scenes. But that being said, considering some of the shit I've watched this year, these actually weren't that bad. And like any multi-film review that I do, there will be spoilers throughout. I like one more than the other, but I'll talk about that as I get into the review. So let's start with Host. So it's 56 minutes. It takes place over something called Zoom, and I had to have that explained to me. They say, well, it's a lot like Skype, but, I don't keep up on the conference call stuff. Hell, I hadn't used Skype since about, I'd say, 2009, 2010. So this is six friends, and because it's taking place during quarantine, during lockdown, they just get together for a weekly Zoom call, and they decide to have some fun, share some stories and everything. And they're from, all over the world. And, in just various parts and everything. Even though it seems like a couple of them, live close together, they are friends, but, they're remaining, socially distant and everything, or remain in their apartments or their houses. So during this, particular Zoom call, there is a girl, Haley, that says, hey, let's have a seance and let's see what we can do, and let's have a medium here. And, because these things always work out so well in horror movies, this medium says, you need to not lie to the spirit world. If you lie to the spirit world, bad things can happen. Well, guess what one of the characters does? She lies. She lies about an experience that she had, in her life or whatever. She felt like, something on her shoulder, and then she suddenly made up that, maybe it was this boy that she knew in school. Well, since she lied, and since she attached a name to it, because that's how these things work, suddenly every single person starts getting haunted by these spirits. I should have hated this, in all honesty, because I hated Unfriended. I hated Unfriended, the dark web. I hated Friend Request. I hated stuff like that. And especially Unfriended, dark web are like the two, really bad ones. And the concept could have worked, except the acting wasn't particularly all that good. And they took the concept and stretched it out. What helps this one is it's under an hour. So it's not even a feature-length film, but at least it's expedient with the scares. There is one guy that vanishes from the group because his wife basically cuts off the call. And then suddenly after this lie is told, the medium, her internet is suddenly cut out. And then everybody starts experiencing shit. One demon pulls a woman into the kitchen. Apparently this demon is back in the 1950s thinking the women should only be there. And then others, they hear weird noises. One hears a noise in the attic and goes to investigate. Oh, fuck this. And a lot of it's taking place, obviously, over laptops and everything. And it's not particularly bad. I give them credit for at least trying to not necessarily reinvent the wheel, but at least have a little bit of fun and make a film during lockdown. So I give them credit for that. The movie is by no means great. I will say that much. Everybody eventually ends up dying in pretty hilarious ways, to be perfectly honest. But there are a few effective, jump moments. And whether that's just because of the jump scare noises or whether that's just because, I went in with such low expectations, the movie's by no means boring. Now, it's not great. The acting's decent. It's not subpar, but it is what it is. There are certainly way worse uses of your time. And I did write at one point... It took 25 minutes in before anything actually started happening. It was only a 55-minute movie. So yeah, there's still a bit of slow burn here on this. And, we get glasses breaking. We get, there's this one point where, this person sees this mask and you think it's like this weird, filter from a laptop. Nope. It's, the demon just putting a mask there for some reason. It's kind of silly. But then everybody dies. There was a pool death, which was kind of funny. And then this one girl goes over to the other girl's house, and it turns out, two of them are safe. And then earlier in the movie, the girl Haley had taken Polaroids. Not the movie Polaroid, which is absolute shit. And she had noticed on a picture she had developed, holy shit, there's something in my hallway. So instead of escaping with this friend, when they could have easily escaped, she takes a bunch of Polaroids and then lowers the camera, and then the demon jumps out, and that's the end of the movie. So that's it right there. That being said, I'm going to surprise people with the rating here. It was effective enough and it was entertaining, so I'm going to say a B. I'm going to say B. Why the hell not? I mean, it isn't a great movie, but it is an effective movie and an effective time killer, and is certainly not that bad. I enjoyed it. Scariest film of the year? By no means it is the scariest film of the year. That would be The Lodge, at least of what I've seen so far, but I'll say B. Now let's get to Confessional. So you got 7 friends that are being, basically grilled in various rooms, or a room, or maybe a bunch of rooms human centipede together, and they must confess what they know about the deaths of 2 students, Amelia and Zach. And what follows is a series of confessions where some confess stuff right away, others say they have nothing to confess, and there's like these camera setups and everything, the soundproofing, and somebody's watching them. Rockwell was right. Somebody is watching him. And this one was the lesser of the two, but that doesn't mean it was necessarily bad. Sometimes these kind of movies, if you stretch them out to 80 minutes, are a little difficult to pull off, and that kind of is what happened. And these, there's chapter breaks and stuff like that. Basically the idea behind the movie: tell your truth or face the consequences. There's Garrett, June, Raquel, Carrie, Major, who's a major dick, and you get to find out why that's apropos later, and Cy and Noel. And it turns out, that the explanation's actually pretty goddamn, I think it's actually pretty obvious from the beginning where you're going to go with this and where the movie's going to go. But maybe Amelia and Zach set it up. Nope, they're actually dead. But then we see footage of, various people lying. Who lied and who in the world, if you don't tell the truth, you need to tell the truth or you face consequences. What are the consequences? Well, we get to find out with one of the guys. There's cheating stuff, there's oxy distribution, there's, men thinking that they're powerful over women and having power over women in one particular case, with the character of Major. But after a confession, basically, June confesses this and da-da-da-da. Basically what it comes down to is some people weren't what they thought. Amelia was doing a film project and everything, and one of these people may have ended up taking her ideas and making their own film project out of it. And it proves that even the dead aren't innocent and other stuff like that. And the acting isn't really all that bad. The thing is this film felt too stretched out. And also the fact that it's taking place in, one or multiple rooms. You get, just the same thing. You just get this laser focused deal where everybody is basically in, basically everybody is in this room. They're confessing and stuff like that. And then, oh, wait, no, you can go. But this other person has to stay. And then it turns out this guy, Zach, was gay, and that was his major confession and stuff like that. And it was because he liked that guy, Major, who called himself a major player. Pun very much intended. But also basically was just, he claims that he's not gay, but it's like a lot of people do lie to themselves and everything. And that was what this movie was about, people lying to themselves. And then June, who was the girlfriend of Zach, even though he was lying to himself. Nothing wrong with that. Be who you are. It's just, that's what this movie was about. And then that guy, Garrett, who was the best friend of Zach, hook up. And then at one point, there's this hole in the wall. Yes, the glory hole thing. And, well, Major kind of gets his dick, trapped in something. Because there is somebody doing it. It's Noel. It's Noel. That's who's fucking doing it. Because Noel was obsessed with Amelia and loved her and everything and killed her. And that was the ultimate confession and stuff like that. And I know it sounds like I'm a lot more down on the movie than I probably should, or than, you might think. The movie was very overall average. There were some cool moments here, like, oh, everything's unraveling. The thing is, the mystery isn't really all that, detailed. It just turns out to be like a few things, and they just stretch the stuff out. So this is the lesser of the two. So yes, Host by no means perfect, but still gets a B for entertainment. This gets a C. C for Confessional. Seems appropriate. It was decent. I will most certainly never watch it again. I will not recommend it, as far as you have to go watch this, but there are certainly way worse uses of your time. So let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.